Hello and welcome again to everyone who is joining us for the A4Q Testing Summit Edition 2025. I'm excited to introduce our next speaker, someone who truly needs no introduction in the world of software quality and testing, Olivier Denoo. Olivier is the former president of the ISTQB and currently the vice president of ISTQB. He also serves as the president of the CFTL. So Olivier is not just a speaker, he's a major contributor to the software testing community. And today he will be presenting us with an interesting topic he calls life in plastic. Before I give over to you, Olivier, I just want to remind everybody that there's a Q&A session at the end, so pop your questions into the chats. And then, Olivier, I hand over to you. I look forward to hear what you have to share with us.
Thank you so much, Lily, and hello, everyone. It's a real pleasure to be with you this morning. And without further losing anyone's time, let's go deep diving into life in plastic. Let's start with a personal story. You know, I'm a father of two beautiful girls, and they know that for my birthday, they know that I love, these Lego bricks. I was a fan of Lego since I was a young kid, and they decided to treat me by offering me two wonderful set of bricks. One is the Quiet Garden, kind of Japanese tea house in kind of a bonsai pot with the sakura blooming everywhere, and a pot of orchid. This kind of theme is especially what I liked, and I was, of course, very, very happy with the treat. So I decided to start building these beautiful Lego sets, and the engineer in me, just went back to surface at a certain moment in time, and it was in the very beginning of the model, actually. When I was starting to build, I noticed that there was this little plate that you see there on my screen, the yellow 6x2 studs. That was there just in the middle of nowhere. And there was another one on the big plate that was a transparent 1x1 little block. And I was just wondering, okay, what are they doing there? Why the heck are Lego engineers putting these plates there? Because they don't match the color. So I was a little bit curious. I was intrigued, and I said, okay, maybe there's a yellow spot somewhere that will appear. And to my biggest surprise, actually, this yellow spot disappeared on the next step. It was completely covered up with other kind of plates. So the question that rised in my mind at this moment was, okay, why on earth did they put that? And why on earth did they make the system more complex? Because, well, again, I'm an engineer. These things are wrapped in plastic bags. And if they are different colors, well, they need to come from different origins, I would say, different kind of supplies, I would say. And basically, you need on quality control to ensure that this plate is there with the right color at the right time. Of course, everything is automated these days at Lego, but still, it makes the process, the quality control or the quality check, a little bit more complex. And the reason is why do they do that if nobody would see that in the end of the day? And then the answer popped up in my mind, and it was absolutely obvious. This is for error prevention. This is a usability stuff. Actually, when you have these big plates, you have loads of studs. And when you need to put the next brick on the plate, you need to count how many studs you have horizontal and vertical, like a little bit like coordinates, in order to just position the next brick properly. Because if you don't position it right and you go one side away or one row or a column away, then unfortunately the model is a bit ruined, and then you need to unbuild or just re-adapt the whole shebang. And if you put these little error preventing plates, it's much easier to count the number of studs from that plate and just build your model with ease. Then my curiosity went even further and said, okay, Lego has much evolved since I was a kid. Let's look at how usable these things are and how these builds are, conceived, let's say, in order to get the user satisfaction higher and the usability higher. Basically, as I said, I was I was playing with Lego when I was a young kid. Well, today I'm a grown-up guy. I'm not supposed to play anymore. Well, so I had two girls that gave me the excuse to keep on playing with my beloved plastic bricks a little bit longer. But when I was a kid, it was just pure creativity. Basically, the model were much less complex than they are today, and the universe were more open than they are today. Today, Lego is playing a lot with franchise like Star Wars or Scooby-Doo or the Marvel heroes or whatever, and you have these kind of very closed universe with more or less strict rules. And of course, you can still play your creativity, but in most cases, what you try to do with Lego is to build the model that you have facing you, and possibly with some variants. When I was a young kid, I just had a bunch of bricks, and I built the whole universe and the whole set of rules on my own. So this is something that changed at a certain moment in time. And I was even worrying a little bit about Lego, because I said, okay, if they narrow down the field or the universe and the creativity, don't they lose track? And actually, that was pure genius, because these franchise went very well, and actually they developed their business like hell. To give you an idea regarding usability, because this is one of the topics that we are going to see today, this is how the instruction, the manuals were looking in the 80s. This is the one that you see on the left-hand side is the deck of a train. This is electric train, so there was already kind of elaborated model with lights on, and everything is electrified, and it's a running train actually. But as you can see, if you look at the second part of the figure, it's pretty difficult to know how you put these wet bricks next, and you need to go one level down, one step down, in order to understand and be able to count the number of steps so that you can position that properly, because this is kind of symmetric model. So that's on that side, this is easier, and still it was pretty usable at the time. But you'll see how they evolved. If you look on the right hand side, you would see for the axis the big plastic stuff that is very on the very top of the slides are counted in number of studs, and this is to tell you which kind of axis you should use to keep the wheels of the truck aligned and these kind of things. Actually, when you look at Lego set today, it is pretty much the same as building some kind of agile piece of software, because you have a couple of big chunks, let's say, that are like minimum viable product. So the first two bags of my Quiet Garden set, for instance, are representing the tea house, and it's only the tea house, just the first part, let's say, of the big set. And you can compare this to a kind of iteration or two iterations maximum. And then you have the second minimum viable product that would be from bag 3 to 9, and that you have the tea house that is located in a garden with a pond and a little bridge and so on and so forth. And the third minimum viable product, which is, by the way, the end delivery, is made of bag 11 and 10 and 11. And then you have all the embellishments, the sakura tree and the pine tree and the flowers and bamboo and so on and so forth. So this is something that is very, very much split into usable part into separate parts. Basically speaking, of course, if you want to play, and well, I'm not that crazy, so I didn't make my burned on chart and all these kind of things, but you can very easily relate to that if you look at your Lego brick and see the product increment, see what's in the sprint backlog and the product backlog all in all, and have a clear vision on what a project looks like. So that's very kind of agile way of building a product, which is kind of interesting. But let's see how agility is now meeting user experience, and how they made this usability practices at work in the Lego bricks. So when talking about usability, you immediately think of people like Jacob Nielsen, Danish engineer, or Don Norman, for instance, and together they now have a company in the US which is called NNG Group, NNG.com. Well, I highly recommend that you go to this NNG.com website if you're keen on usability, and get their newsletter. Very interesting, very usable. They tell you how much it will take to read their contents and so on and so forth. And one of the things that Nielsen built years ago was the usability heuristic. So this is not something that is proven mathematically, but these are things that are verified by experience. And these usability heuristics are basically, well, I would say common sense, though I would say that there's as many common sense as there are people in the world, but we share something in common, and we like to have something that is effective. So if we want to use a product, and I'm not even speaking about a software product per se, but it can be any kind of tool or product that you have in real life, like a glass, a hammer, whatever kind of tool you would like to manipulate, or a piece of software, of course. It needs to be effective. So you need to achieve a desired goal. You're using the product to do something, to achieve something, and that's very important. And the second characteristic is efficiency. So not only that you want to achieve something, but you want to achieve it as quickly and as easy as possible. And this efficiency part is, of course, something that makes a difference. And if your life is easier, it's getting easier because the product is well designed, then you're probably happier. And we'll come to that characteristic a bit later. Learnability is also very important. And this made a difference with the smartphones, for instance, because the smartphones are easy to learn. Even a small kid today can just tap on the smartphone and get something happening and get the app running and so on and so forth. So that's how easy it is to understand and to learn how the thing is going. And of course, on the opposite, you have products that are very hard to learn, and when the learning curve is very, very long and very, very steep sometimes, and then you have to invest a lot of time and effort in order to master the product and master the usage. And of course, sometimes it's justified because what you want to achieve requires, of course, a certain investment on your side, like studying. Well, of course, you need to take a couple of years of university or high school or whatever to get your degree. So this is that sort of investment. But most people would like to have something that is quick and easy. Memorability is also something that is quite important, because if you've done it once, you don't need to reinvest all over again to do it a second time. And that repeatability, and that easy repeatability is something that is very important for most people. And then you have the error handling, and error handling is how it helps user recover from errors. We are human beings. We all make mistakes. We all make errors. Sometimes we press the wrong button. Sometimes we just call the wrong function. And well, we need to have a good hand there to help us recover, or to have our back, let's say, covered. And in the end of the day, all of these characteristics come to one, that is the user satisfaction, which is kind of, wrapping up all these characteristics at one, plus enlarging the experience, the total experience, which is called user experience. It's not only usability, it's the whole experience that you have with whatever product you're manipulating. And this user satisfaction is, do you like it and would you recommend it? And that this is the like effect on social media or e-commerce platforms. And if you recommend it, more people buy, so that you reach your goal in the end of the day. So that's these are the characteristics, and these characteristics are very well implemented within the Lego products. Actually, they learn from that, and they implemented that in the product. So let's have a look. For instance, you have this Lego tool. It did not exist when I was a young boy, and I learned how to unfix plates the hard way. You need to use your nails, and especially if the plates are brand new, they really stick together like if they are glued. So you need to use your nail and scratch your fingers and so on and so forth. This was not easy. And this tool is kind of jack of all trades. You can unfix any kind of plates, wherever they are put, even in the middle of a big plate. You can unfix the axis. You can unfix even the flat ones with no studs on them, and so on and so forth. So this is a piece of genius, actually. And this is all about error prevention, and this is all about efficiency, actually. If you look at the way that the sets are conceived and are made, actually, you see that it's very modular. I told you that you have a couple of minimum viable products all the way around, and it's very modular. You have a bag, and in that bag you have the exact number of pieces that you need to start assembling the set. So you have a limited amount of bricks or plates that you have to look for when you need to build a couple of first steps in the model and the next one coming. When I was a young kid, I had a big box of Lego, and my pleasure was to, put the big box upside down and get hundreds, or if not thousands of these bricks all over the floor and start building my universe. Of course, the payload was that if I needed to look for a special kind of brick or a special piece that was in limited amount, then I needed to, search into the big heap of Lego and try to find it, which is exactly the opposite of what is implemented there. And the second payload was that in the end of the day, when the hero go to bed, well, I think that's it was to put all the bricks back in the big box, which was the unpleasant part of the journey, I would say. Also, the engineer is me. After all, I'm still an engineer. Is really amazed about this structural cohesion everywhere. It's made to be as robust, as solid as possible, and these plates are crossed in a very clever way so that they back each other and they solidify. They make the whole thing robust and solid. So this is basically about efficiency, effectiveness, learnability, memorability, error prevention as well. You see, these plates are shown in the instruction in such a way that you can't go wrong. Here, for instance, if you look at the slide, you see that they are mixing a 1x2 and 2x2 kind of plates, and they are put in such an order that in principle you shouldn't make a mistake. So that's very clever from their side, actually. Everything is very modular, so you have a clear reference to an assembly stage. So I'm here, step 35 of my model. The number of and types of bricks necessary are clearly indicated. I know where the changes are because they are clearly indicated by these red lines around the changes, and it will tell me if I need to rotate the plate so that I know that I'm working on the other face and not on the same face anymore. So again, kind of interesting, and you see again these characteristics about memorability, about effectiveness, about error prevention, and so on and so forth. Now, on top of that, you have the poetry, let's say, of building the set. In the guide, in the instruction, you have a couple of quotes that are coming here and there, giving you some insight about the culture. Here it was about Japanese culture, so and how they reuse some parts from other kind of sets, other kind of models to feed the brand new sets that they just created. So, for instance, if you look at these little blossoms of the orchid set, the orchid vase, well, it was actually the head and the mouth of the Demogorgon from the Stranger Things franchise. Just to know, and the air roots of the orchids are made for a dinosaur tail element. So you see that they are even creative in reusing the blocks, and of course that makes the builds probably less expensive to make, less more flexible to build, and so on and so forth. So pretty interesting. So again, loads of things are done with regards to user satisfaction, and it even goes further. I told you about the user experience per se and the user satisfaction. So they tell you a little bit, just a little bit, of course, but a little bit about the Japanese culture, and the pond shape are even built in such a way that they represent kanji, even if they are hidden. And when the model is built, you don't see that anymore. But while building it, you indeed draw some kind of kanji saying kokoro, which is hurt in Japanese. So pretty amazing and pretty interesting to know that what you're doing is not just building some Lego bricks. Okay, so all these things are very well indicated. That looks a little bit like a IKEA kind of build, where you have the number of different elements that are counted and indicated on the big map, on the big plan, and you see what you're doing. But it's very interesting, and it's very important because well, if you're crazy enough, you can count them all and see if you have some spare ones, or eventually if you have the right count. And if the right count is not there, well, you can file a claim to Lego, and they will send you what is missing, of course. So pretty interesting. So there's a lot to learn and a lot to see in these Lego models, in these Lego sets, with regards to how we design our piece of software and how we deal with the customers, because in the end of the day, this is a very pleasant experience. And I was super happy not only to become the young kid in me again, but also to discover that the grown-up boy or the grown-up man with kind of usability expertise or experience is also pleased to see how they implement and how they inject or communicate these kind of knowledge to the young boys. That's and girls, of course. Very interesting. A little bit more about usability now, and drifting a little bit away from Lego. How usability would look like in real life, and I'll show you a couple of examples. One of the things that we like to have is mimicking real life, because it helps us understand how we should interact with the object, the software, or whatever. We all have a desktop, we're all working on the desktop, whether it is on a laptop or on a fixed computer, it doesn't matter. But the desktop is just a virtual image, because all in all, that's just a couple of pixels moving around on a flat screen. Well, we call it a desktop, and we put a lot of effort in fitting to the context. We have a recycle bin. We set mails with an icon that is looking like a real letter, though an email has nothing to do with a real letter, is it? And we have files and folders, and we have antivirus like nice, protecting our computer with their shields, and we have lock pads that are there to help and antivirus protecting our PC from external attacks. And we even have the notion of bugs. Well, though bugs has a physical life before we introduce the full computerized stuff, and we're not playing with a punch card anymore. Well, basically the notion of bug has stayed, though there's absolutely no insect running in my computer these days, but there's a lot of bugs, I guess. And real life helps us understand the world, and sometimes, of course, we misunderstand the world. And I guess that this guy knows how to mow the land, but probably not how to start a vacuum cleaner. Let's see how usability would look like in real life. This is a spot that has been made by Google, and this is the customer experience, customer journey at a supermarket, like e-commerce.
Nikan? No. NM1983? No. Zandy Pops? Sorry. Zandy Pops? No, okay, don't worry, I'll help. What's your postcode? Oh, it's a GU749ZT. Welcome back, Nick Forever. Oh, okay. Please listen carefully to the spread lighting screen before continuing with your purchase of a loaf of bread. If you do not, blah, blah, blah. You also agree not to use any bread-based product for any purposes prohibited by United Kingdom law, including without limitation design, development, and manufacture of missiles, chemical, nuclear, or biological weapons. I'm afraid you've timed out. What? Sorry. Hello? Excuse me. Oh, yeah. Hey. Just what, though, sir? Yeah, we just... What's your username? It's Nick Forever, but number 4, not the... Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. I'm just going to check that you're a real person. Could you say that for me? It's not even a word thing. How about this one? You know what? Forget it. What, this one? I think I'd pot of mice. You're in. Great, I'm in. £8.85. It's supposed to be £98. That's express delivery. What's that? Oh, well, it's express delivery. So there's standard. Standard delivery. That's £4.99. Why? Bread insurance. You didn't untick the don't decline bread insurance option. You know what? I think I'll risk it. It is quite close to the sell by date. Don't care. 98 pence it is. If you want to pop back in 5 business days, it'll be ready for your collection. Well, I need it now, obviously. Oh, okay. You want the take home today price? They're like £2.47. You know what? I'm going to go. Come back soon.
Sure. If you build your product that way, I'm pretty sure that the customer will not be returning, and I think that they would leave very, very easily. So this is a very interesting way to show you how your product could improve, and what you force your customer to go through sometimes by just thinking good practice or whatever. We don't realize how the customer experience, the user experience, is all about. Another very important part of usability is getting feedback. We need to know what's happening. Sometimes, it's absolutely frustrating. It's absolutely terrible to have something happening on your computer and you don't know where it is. You don't know what's going on. You don't even know if the PC is still running, or if the process is completely, getting out of control. And having these feedback kind of controls or displays help you understand what is going on and help you wait a little bit, because waiting time is now more and more difficult for loads of people. It comes to the next one, which is being in control. It's very important that you are the puppet master in the end of the day. You are in control of what is going on, and you always have the possibility to say, hey, I'm not willing to do that. Maybe not. This is not what I want. Let's stop that. Of course, we all understand that there are, operations that cannot be reversed. If you decide to erase something, well, recovering is, a little bit more difficult. It's not a fate. There are backups. There are ways to get the solution back, and so on and so forth. But at a certain moment in time, we know that there are things that are done, once forever. But this is also important that we are notified about that. So that's about feedback, and it's about being in control. Yes, I really want to delete this data. Or, well, maybe not. Maybe it's I need to think twice. I'm a gamer, and if I have many different consoles at home and many different brands at home, because I love computer games. Actually, I'm not a very good gamer, but I love computer games. I love to see the story and so on and so forth. And one of the things that is absolutely frustrating, if you look at all these pads, they're all looking alike, more or less. They have these kind of sticks, where you can control the camera and the movement of your characters. And then you have these, buttons that you can press to do several actions, like jumping, moving, taking the weapon or whatever. And then you have these triggers, and you have this cross stuff where you can, manage your supplies or whatever. But all in all, what is extremely frustrating, and I think they did it on purpose, if you look at the Microsoft One, the Xbox One, for instance, and if you look at the Sony PS4 or PS5, look at the X position. It's not on the same place, and because it is not on the same place, and you have something on the screen that displays, press X now, well, it might be very much error prone if you're switching from one console to another very, very frequently. So this is one of the disturbing part, but I think they did it on purpose. That's a branding kind of stuff. Okay, error prevention and correction. I think that I've shown you a couple of examples, but you have loads of them. For instance, if you're using Google or AI these days and you mistype or misspell a word, in most cases it has no big impact if the drift is not that bad, if the spelling is not that bad, because these programs are programmed or made in such a way that they are preventing you from making these kind of mistakes. And they interpret for AI. It's just even better than this, because they're using tokens. So that's not, the spelling of the word is less important than the tokens and the tokens order, which is totally different. But having all these kind of error prevention and correction helps us. There's been a lot of improvements done in the way that you enter a date on a website or in an application. When I started my career as an engineer, QA engineer, some 30 years ago, most date fields were kind of free fields, so you could enter whatever happened, and of course crash the system very easily. Okay, so very, very important here. this is a kind of well-designed error prevention mechanism, isn't it? Fantastic. Of course, usability can also be very critical. So basically, if you display on the same dial something like a decimal speed in number of feet per minute and an angle, well, you can easily crash a plane. And this is what happened in 1992 with Airbus 320 that just, crashed because the pilot did not understand that he was talking about descent and not about the descent angle and not descent speed, actually. Fortunately, most of the time you don't crash planes, but you just lose customers, which is definitely not a good idea either. We like to have things that are memorable, recognizable, and these buttons or these icons are just there to help us understand what it's all about. And I think that if you look at these icons, you pretty much know what it's all about. Of course, it's not that easy, and there's a whole science behind the choosing icons here and there, because it's not science, pure science, I would say, and there's a lot of cultural aspects as well, and a lot of interpretation behind. One of the things that we are often confronted with is when you go to the restaurant, you have two pots, and one with salt, one with pepper, and one has 5 holes and one has 1 hole, and there's absolutely no letter, no indication which one has the salt and which one has the pepper. But actually, we all have a theory, we put more salt or pepper, and it should be more, more holes because it's easier to put, and so on and so forth. But actually, Don Norman just said in one of his talks, very interesting one for Google, so just YouTube that. It's a very, very nice one. He just said, it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is what the waiter thinks he should be doing. And this is the only thing that you can do. So if you go to the restaurant, well, try it on first. Otherwise, you might be surprised. Flexibility is something that is very interesting and very important as well. We need to be helped. And let me show you that very little video about how to choose the right size for a T-shirt or a polo shirt. This one is absolutely wonderful because you just define yourself, your size, your weight. You then select whether you want to have a loose fit or a less loose fit. This is what it is doing right now. Sorry, it's in French, but I'm just commenting, so you get it. If you have a similar brand, you can also say that, so they will adapt. And then you select your body shape, and so that they see where your fat is actually located, and also your age, because the way that the fat is getting into your body depends a little bit. And then they give you the kind of size that you can order online. Why is it important? Because more than 30% of the clothes that are ordered online are returned to the shop, actually. And this is something that is absolutely key because it saves the environment, of course. It saves shipping and shipping cost and all these kind of things. And it's also much easier for buying online. So the user satisfaction in the end is way higher. Very, very nice way to implement something that saves a lot of money in the end of the day. Aesthetic and zenitude is also something that is pretty important. And if you build products that are neat and clean, they are more prone to please your customers. Well, it's also very cultural, because if you look at Asian kind of displays, for instance, Asian apps, you see that they are much busier than the kind of European or American kind of apps. And this is more cultural. So it depends a little bit how you perceive the world and how you interact with the world, and what is your, let's say, common interaction with application experience, I would say, previous experience with the application. So you need to be a little bit careful with that, but market studies will help you there. Oh, by the way, the wonderful device that is there on the bottom left of the screen is a juicer. It's been designed by the famous designer Philip Stark for Alice. And well, this is a conversation starter, as they say. So it has nothing to do with a juicer, and I do not recommend to use that as a juicer unless you like to have the fruit juice all around the table than not in your glass. But basically speaking, it's a very expensive object. This is a designer object, so very intriguing. And yes, this is a conversation opener, but definitely not a juicer. So yeah, being aesthetic and being Zen is fine, but it needs to be usable first. And all these characteristics that I've just described there on top of what has been designed have been implemented in these Lego sets. So that's how usability can be learned from Lego bricks, and how some aspects of designing software can be also learned from a totally different perspective and a totally different universe. And well, I'm coming to the end of my presentation, pretty much on time actually, so I hope that you enjoyed the talk, and I'm now very much ready for your questions. If you have any, more than pleased to hear to that. And for those who want to connect with me or whatever, here are my details. Thank you very much for your attention and being with me this morning. You're amazing.
Thank you, Olivier, for providing us once again with an amazing presentation. So let's move over to the questions that we have received from our audience. In the case of the Lego tool, who in a company has the responsibility to gather the customer experience and how to do that?
Oh, that's very nice. Very interesting question. Who in a company has the responsibility to gather the customer experience? Well, I think this is, again, some sort of teamwork. In an agile team, you have the product owner. The product owner is there to be the direct relationship to the customer. But sometimes the product owner doesn't know the customer properly or fully. So you have some kind of usability engineers or people who play the usability engineer that use questionnaires, and you have the usability surveys, and you have the real customers that are monitored in the way that they interact with the object or the software. So there are loads of possibilities where you can gather these customer experience. Sometimes even marketing companies are getting a grip on what the customers want. I've been tested a couple of times as a normal customer about the taste of some food or the look and feel or the color scheme of a certain object, and so on and so forth. So there are different ways to gather that. What I would definitely suggest is not playing the role of the customer. The customer is the customer. This is not you. We are all customers per se, but we are not acting and behaving like the customers because we are biased by our own experience, perspective, knowledge, maybe environment, the context of the software or the product, and so on and so forth. So ask the real customers, actually. And I think that the testers have a big role to play in there, definitely, to organize together and to ensure that this part of the quality control and quality assurance is put in there.
Perfect. Thank you, Olivier. Let's have a look at our next question. You were mentioning Don Norman in your talk. I heard he is obsessed with doors. Can you elaborate on this? And if not too personal, do you have any similar obsession?
Oh, yeah. Well, actually, yeah, Don Norman is very famous. He had this wonderful talk that is available on YouTube. That's about complexity. It's absolutely wonderful. It's about an hour. It's a bit long for today's standard, but it's really worth every minute. And there he explained that he's obsessed with doors, and well, basically his problem with doors is that there are many ways to open a door. You can push, you can pull, you can slide. There are rotating doors. Sometimes you need to press a knob before you get in, or you need to type a code or something, or badge or whatever. And there are many possibilities. And from a usability perspective, you never know which one. And I guess that all of us have always been, have been once or twice, code there in a situation where, okay, I need to open the damn thing, but how does it work? Especially when you're visiting a company for the first time, you need to press the door and you need to badge there before or after, and so on and so forth. That's the Norman obsession. Actually, I'm not really obsessed with doors, though I had the similar problem. I'm rather obsessed with bathrooms and the facilities in the bathrooms. I cannot count the number of times that I had a cold shower. I'm traveling a lot, and I go to all these wonderful posh hotels they compete on bathroom setups. They need to have a wonderful bathroom so that this is the wow effect. But wonderful bathroom means also wonderful, taps and all these kind of things. And sometimes they are extremely complex to use. And let me tell you a story that happened to me in Peru. We were visiting Machu Picchu, and first we stopped in this wonderful hotel just at the edge of Machu Picchu before taking the coach to go there. And the hotel was having a bathroom, and it was kind of atmosphere. It was not fully light up. It was kind of cozy lightning, I would say. And I had to take a shower. And what I do the first time I enter a bathroom, because I wear glasses, I need glasses at my age, more than one. Well, don't tell my wife. But basically, when I go there, I'm always trying to identify which is the shower gel, which is the shampoo, and which is the conditioner, because I hate conditioner. I don't use conditioner, so I want to avoid this one as much as possible. But I need to memorize, because basically when I remove my glass, I don't take a shower with my glasses. Of course, I suppose that not many of us do that. I need to understand and memorize where the shower gel is and where the shampoo is. And in this hotel, well, I could do that, but I could not understand how the tap was working. There was only one button, and there were two showers, a small one and a big rain shower one. And you need to manage temperature and debit some sort of way, the water flow. And I could not understand how it worked. So I had a cold shower that time. And when returning from the Machu Picchu, I went back to the same room, but it was on the other side of the wall. So let's say that I had the left-handed one upon arrival, and upon return I had the other one. And the light was, defined a little bit different. And then I could see what was on the tap. And there was engraved some kind of magic that you needed to turn in a certain way or push a certain way. I can't remember anymore. And then you could manage the temperature. And then I had a perfect shower this time. So that's my kind of obsession.
Oh, what a lovely story, Olivier. All right, let's have a look if there's any other questions that we currently can work through before we have to move on to the next session. Are there environments or external factors influencing usability, and how good products can be told from bad ones in such cases?
Oh, that's another interesting one that I did not mention, actually. Well, for instance, when you're building Lego sets, there's a very important environment external factor that is called a cat. If you have a cat, this is a complete disaster, because it goes away with the bricks, or it just makes everything fall down, and then you need to rebuild all over again. Now, this is for the joke and the personal story. With regards more seriously now to usability, well, when you design a product, you never know how and when and where this product will be used. What I mean is that it can be perfectly used in the middle of a desert when you don't have, loads of, place to, hide from the direct sunlight. So the screen, if there is a screen, must be very visible, even in direct sunlight. It can be used in very dark condition, and it can be used in very cold or hot condition. It can be used when people are stressed and overstressed. And there were usability cases, for instance, in the first Iraq war, the Gulf War, in Iraq, there was this Navy ship, and the Navy ship has been under attack, and there's been, fire exchanges with little speedboats here and there. And at a certain moment in time, the guy on the radar just spotted a flight coming, in his opinion, coming to them and in kind of attack mode. When you have a fighter, you just go in descent mode, and you just launch the missiles, and then you try to escape as fast as possible. And this was definitely the kind of routine that he was seeing on the radar, or that he was interpreting by what he's seen on the radar. And at this moment in time, you have very little time to make the decision. And the decision was, okay, shoot them down, which they did. And actually, it was not a kind of firefighter. It was just, a normal plane, a civil plane that drifted a little bit from their road. Okay, you might understand why not drifting from their road in such conditions, but this is what happened. It was full of civilian, and they killed 130 people, innocent people, just for nothing, And this is all due to one single factor, because all the information was there to help them understand that it was a plane taking off, and it was a civil plane taking off, so a commercial plane, nothing to do with war, nothing to do with an attack. But the display was not clear enough under stress, and they were in very heavy stress conditions. So, and this is the same with gaming. When you play a game and you have a counter ticking or something, you're under stress. And you can see this video on YouTube of gamers that are so upset that they smash the screen, or they just throw the pad away, or these kind of things. This is stressful conditions. This is where you need to react, at a fraction of a second. And this is where the difference is happening in your product.
Well, thank you so much. We've then reached the end of this session. If you have any additional questions, please pop them in the chat and we can pass it along to Olivier to provide us a little bit more insight on this topic. Then before we wrap up, a quick reminder to cast your vote for Olivier's session. We have the best speaker and the best presentation award. So just visit Olivier's landing page on the testingsummit.com website and submit your vote. And remember, this session, as well as all the other sessions we have during the day, can be rewatched on the website, that's testingsummit.com, and our social media channels. So thank you, Olivier, for this great presentation and joining us once again. And then to our audience, stay tuned for more great sessions that we have. And goodbye for now. Thank you, Olivier.
Thank you so much. Have a nice and fruitful day.
Thanks.
Are you ready to take your ISTQB certification to the next level? Meet ISTQB Prep, your smart AI-powered study companion. Designed for future ISTQB certified testers, ISTQB Prep gives you everything you need to prepare effectively, from realistic exam simulations to AI-driven insights. Practice like it's the real exam. Get timed ISTQB-aligned tests featuring official sample questions so you know exactly what to expect. No more second-guessing. Receive instant feedback with clear explanations, helping you understand why an answer is right or wrong. Stay on track with detailed performance analytics. Pinpoint your strengths, identify areas to improve, and watch your confidence grow. A simple, user-friendly interface makes exam prep effortless. Study whenever and wherever it suits you, right from your desktop. Get access today through GASQ or ISQI, whether as a standalone prep tool or bundled with your ISTQB exam. Study smarter, boost your confidence, pass your exam. Start preparing with ISTQB Prep today.